In this video, I'll show you how to make a pot from cone shapes without a compass. First thing you have to do is go find some round things in your house someplace. You probably have a lot more than you imagine. I almost always start by goofing around, so the first thing I'm going to do is make the inside circle not in the middle of the outside circle. And depending on where I would cut this, I'm going to draw some lines and imagine how the shapes would go back together again. I'm going to make something which is asymmetric. And in my imagination, I'm also already plotting ahead. So I'm imagining how the next shape relates to the one that I just drew. You might want to just do one thing at a time, but I have an idea. I sped up the video a little bit here just to make it go a little bit quicker. I do think it's important for you to see what I'm doing, so I'm not going to chop big chunks out of this video. One thing you'll see me do quite often is rough cut something and then go back and cut to the line. This is something that I really learned cutting out sheet metal. It's really the only way to do it. And if you want to cut right to the line with a pair of scissors, you should probably rough cut it first. Here, what I'm going to do is experiment with what angle I want the cone to be. The further I wrap this around, the higher the angle will be. And you can already see that the hole in the bottom isn't exactly in the middle of the cone shape. Now I realize I just said hole in the bottom even though it's at the top right now, but I have an idea that this is going to go upside down. And what I'm cutting out now is basically going to be something like a foot. Now I guess you could call this test fitting. I'm kind of just looking at the intersection of these two shapes and deciding what looks interesting to me. And one of the reasons I really like this blue painter's tape is I can change my mind really easily. You can just take the tape off and cut something else out a little bit differently or just wrap it up a different amount. I'm really just sketching in 3 dimensions here. I approach this the same way I would approach a sketch, and just experimenting with some lines, except for, in this case, the lines are actually 3-dimensional cone shapes. I do like how this is going to zigzag a bit, and you'll see that in a minute. I suppose this wouldn't be something you could put your Cheerios in or anything, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just experimenting. Here I'm going to take some scraps and make another cone shape from the scraps that are left over. For your assignment, you could make a plan and use a compass like I show you in another video, or you could just do this and play around. I really don't care. I think you should experiment with your own approach to working with patterns and shapes. So you have permission to experiment. You have permission to show me something I've never seen before, or do something that I don't know how to do. I kind of like it like that too, where it's not really a traditional volume containing vessel. Make sure to put your forms upside down as well. I just made a vase there for a second. Here you can see what I mean by the shape zigzagging. And I kind of like the gestural quality or the off-balance quality. And I guess now I'm going to make the zigzag more complete by making the rim, I guess that's the rim, by making that top edge not parallel to the ground plane. And the last thing I'm going to show you, I probably should have shown you first. I'm actually going to make the two circles concentric with each other and show you how to measure against the cone shape that you have cut out. What I'll do is measure the small diameter of this cone up against the can and figure out how much surface area I need in order to make that circle match. And then I have a seam that I can just transfer the dimension on. So if you cut it on that line, you'd have the pattern for that shape and that size. There you go.